did you think, switching a little bit, there's sort of those quick wins on spend, and ultimately, at the end of the first year, you're going to be assessed a lot on that. But there's also the process. And, we hear a lot that, for a lot of companies, it's almost a year two problem for the procurement team, because it's like, I need to build trust before I can make any change. How did you think about that?
Yeah. So, talking about process, I come from large corporate companies with very strict policies and processes, and you can do this, and no, this is outside of policy. You cannot do that, and then you have very long approval flow, and then it takes weeks from the time you request something until it's finally approved, and then you get a service, right? So I had to, as I mentioned, identify the bottlenecks in how it operates today and tackle them one by one. As I mentioned before, one of them was the legal department, who, um, at that time, every vendor contract, regardless of the dollar
Amount.
amount, yeah, of the size or the complexity, it was being reviewed by a small, overstretched legal team. So as you can imagine, it slowed down the procurement cycle significantly. We had weeks from request until a fully approved PO. So to resolve that, I was working very closely with the legal team to redefine the contract review process, for example. And then we also had to think, do we want to like put it up to a certain dollar amount, or because
Or is risk something else?
yeah, and it's a very gray area. There's no like, there wasn't a place where I could draw the line and say, okay, this is that. So it was also risk-based contracts. Not every contract needed a legal review. We would categorize them based on that, and we would seek legal approval. We created clear guidelines where legal need to be involved, and when not, whether again, the risk and the scope. And alongside with that, again, creating the spend visibility, because we didn't have any people didn't know where money was going. Once I was able to show them, it meant for them that I have visibility, so I have the knowledge, and they can trust me because I can see what they couldn't see. And while I was sharing it with them, it opened their eyes. It was like putting on the glasses, and then you can see something now where you couldn't see it before. um, and again, standardizing the procurement workflows, I had to define in every category who should be the right approval. I didn't want unnecessary people in the critical flow where it would be, because in the beginning everyone said, yeah, I want to be an approver, I want to be an approver, and then you have such a long and approval list that
20 approvers.
people in the flow, and I'm like, no, no, no. If there's no added value to you being in the approval process, you can be notified, you can be uh, notified in different ways, but you're not going to be in the critical line.
You're not going to have the right to block.
Exactly, I don't want you to be a blocker. Yeah.
100%. So it sounds like, it was part of building trust, that you approach sort of the process and ultimately build a procurement policy